What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Can you believe it? It's halfway through 2025 and San Diego Comic-Con is next week. And in today's video, we're going to be comparing the upcoming 2025 Funko catalog that's going to be dropping to last year's 2024 San Diego Comic-Con Funko catalog. And there's a lot of differences from last year to this year. Obviously, there's been a lot of differences just with Funko as a company. They had a brand new CEO taking over last summer, and unfortunately, it looks like there's going to be another big change here in leadership as we now have a new temporary CEO. More to follow regarding that situation, but let's get into it. Let's talk San Diego Comic-Con, and I hope today's video brings you guys some value, so hopefully it can help you make your purchasing or non-purchasing decisions for next week's drop. Friendly reminder that we will be live when the San Diego Comic-Con shared retail exclusives hit the website, and I think some of them are going to be selling out very quickly. So let's start off by just taking a look briefly at the total amount of items that we had for this year's catalog compared to last year. So in 2024, we got 43 different items compared to this year where we're getting only 35. So right off the bat, I think a smaller catalog is a good sign. I think having less to choose from is a good thing because at the end of the day, we only have so much money to spend on collectibles. And when it comes to a big event like San Diego Comic-Con or New York Comic-Con, I want to see the best that Funko can come out with. And same could be said for, or should be said for every single company. Every company should be showcasing their highest quality items at an event like San Diego Comic-Con. Moving on, the next big thing that I feel like is the most important topic to talk about when it comes to these major Comic-Cons is the amount of limited pieces. Especially for us collectors, we want to see a lot of limited pieces. Last year, we got 14 limited items. However, that sounds pretty good, but when you peel back the layers of that 14 number, a lot of these were made up of some filler items. For starters, there were four packs of biddies that were all limited to 4,000 pieces. So that brings us down to 10 actual limited pieces, but it gets even more a little bit convoluted here as we did have 2 sodas last year that were also technically limited. That was also part of the 14, so now we're down to 8. We had a Project Fred figure. You guys remember that? We're going to be talking about him later in today's video. That was a limited piece, only 750 of those. Thank God those are over. So that brings us now down to 7 limited pieces. We did get a Freddy, Franny, and Proto pop. They were all limited, so that now brings us down to 4. And then for the rest of the actual limited piece pops, I kind of exclude Freddy, Franny, and Proto because they're their own thing. They're, you know, Funko mascots at the end of the day, but we did get some awesome limited piece pops for those. But when you boil it all down, we only got 4 limited piece pops for last year's San Diego Comic-Con, and I really disliked how they did what they did with last year's catalog, where they gave us a common version of Thrawn, and then gave us a diamond version of Thrawn. They gave us a regular version of Zero, and then a, you know, what was it? A glitter version of Zero wearing the sunglasses. And then they did the same thing for the other larger Disney character who's escaping me at the moment. So really, when you looked at the limited pieces, it wasn't very exciting. For this year's catalog, I would say the limited pieces have definitely got people excited because they are of higher quality this year. For starters, we're getting the really cool clamshell pops. These are a nice throwback to 2010. Funko is celebrating 15 years of the pop product, and these are all limited to 2010 pieces. We're getting the Batman, Robin, and Penguin, and I think they're going to be very popular. On top of that, we're getting a 1,500 piece limited Batman. I think that is very good. We're also getting a couple filler limited pieces like the faceted Barbie. That's 2,000 pieces, not really very exciting. We're getting a 500 piece Jumbo Chan figure, the Voltron Jumbo Chan. I think that is definitely way more exciting than the Project Fred Deadpool, so I'm okay with that there. And then I have to say, the most exciting limited pieces that we're getting this year has to be the Mystery Huckleberry Hounds. The fact that Funko is doing this is just so cool. If you are able to snag one of these Mystery Huckleberry Hounds, you have the opportunity to possibly get a limited 100 piece pop. That is insane. From the San Diego Comic-Con catalog, we have not seen this possibly ever. Usually we only get pops this limited for fun days or in the box of fun, so I applaud Funko for what they're doing here with San Diego Comic-Con, and we're getting 15 limited items for this year, and I think they are doing a tremendous job, a huge step in the right direction from the limited edition exclusive point or stance here. Moving on to the number of pops. So for last year we got 34 pops. This year we're getting a total of 27. Keep in mind I'm excluding the clamshell items from that 27 pop piece count just because I consider them to be specialty items. They're not your typical 4-inch or, Pop Ride or Pop Deluxe or anything. They are a specialty item, something that we could never see again for a San Diego Comic-Con catalog. So I think going down from 34 in 2024 to 27 in 2025, I think is a step in the right direction. Once again, having a smaller catalog and focusing on the quality of items. Next up, unfortunately, we do have to talk briefly about sodas. So even though sodas made a grand return in this year's Box of Fun, which was very exciting, I had the joy of putting out our brand new Box of Fun sodas on our shelf a couple minutes ago, and I'm absolutely loving everything that they did. We did get our first Franny Funko sodas, so this was very exciting, and I gotta say, I just love the full wrap can art. I think they just did an incredible job. However, despite the epic return of sodas at Fun Days and in the Box of Fun, there are no sodas as exclusive for this year's San Diego Comic-Con, which I think is a huge miss. How could Funko do so well with Fun Days and the Box of Fun, get everybody excited, and not have at least one soda for San Diego Comic-Con this year? I think that is a huge bummer. Last year we did get 2 sodas. Now, arguably, these sodas were not very exciting. They did not do very well. We got the Cano Corn Freddy as well as the Fun Mart Freddy. They did not sell well. They were too high of a piece count in my opinion. They did not have chases, and they went on clearance multiple times throughout the past year on Funko's website. They may still be available for sale on Funko's website. I think the Cano Corn did finally sell out. That was 9,500 piece, and then the Fun Mart Freddy was 5,000 piece. Still way too many for sodas without chases. I really think that most sodas should have chases unless they are low piece counts like the ones we saw for the Box of Fun and for Fun Days. Moving on to Bitty Pops. Now, last year we got 5 packs of Bitty Pops, 4 of which were black and white turtles. They were cool, but they seemed kind of random. This year, I do want to applaud Funko once again because it seems like there's a more refined direction for where Funko wants to showcase their Bitty Pop exclusives. And the biggest thing they have in the works right now is their Bitty City launch and initiative. And I think Bitty City is going to be huge. They're going to be producing little tiny buildings and roads and vehicles that will all be able to come together and allow people to really express their creativity and have a lot of fun by building these tiny little Funko Bitty Pop cities on a table or a shelf. I really think it's going to open up the door to a whole new market of possibly younger collectors, as well as allow families where maybe there are already older or adult Funko Pop collectors to now get their kids or teenagers involved, because if you look at some other smaller size collectible products like Lego, of course, comes to mind. Lego City is huge. People love building Lego cities, us included, of course. And then you have other companies who are making little tiny figurines like Pop Mart and stuff like that, and those are very popular. You see them all over the toy aisles. So I think Funko is doing a really good job with honing in this initiative. We do have a couple Bitty City items that are specifically San Diego Comic-Con exclusives. There's also your standard Freddy, Franny, and Proto 4-pack. I think that's great. And then the other pack of Bitties is the Fantastic Four. I think that is 100% the right direction. Good call. Fantastic Four is dropping next weekend, so, dropping a few exclusives in line with the big movie launch. This is arguably Marvel's biggest movie of 2025, so another huge thumbs up in the right direction for the Bitties. Moving on to my second to last category here with specialty items. So this is where I consider the clamshell pops to fall into, as well as the Jumbo Chan. I won't go too much into it because I've already talked about it, but I think the Jumbo Chan figure is fine because it's only 500 pieces. It's probably going to sell out like that at the booth. No shot to get that online or anything. However, the clamshells are interesting, and I'm really curious to see how these are going to do on the aftermarket, because this is likely going to be a one-time product, and they're only limited to 2010 pieces each. If you guys don't know, I covered the history and lineage of the clamshell items in my San Diego Comic-Con reveals video. So if you guys want to go check that out and learn more about the history of the clamshell items and why they're so important in the history of the Funko Pop becoming the collectible and item that we all know and love today, go watch that video so you'll learn more about that. But I think these are going to be a huge hit. I think they're going to sell out very quickly. 2,000 pieces is not that many when you're talking about San Diego Comic-Con, which literally brings in over 150 to 200,000 people between the 5 days of the event, including the preview night and everything. So I think these are going to be very sought after, and I don't see them crashing or anything after the con is over. I think the people who go after these are going to be your hardcore Funko fanatics. They're going to want this. They see this as a piece of Funko history. And if Funko doesn't make any more of these, then these are just going to be one-offs that very few people are going to have in the grand scheme of things. So that's going to be interesting. For last year's specialty item, we got the one Project Fred figure, and thank God Project Fred appears to be dead. That was a terrible launch. I did not like any of those figures for the most part. It was the same mold. The Deadpool one especially just looked like an art series figure. These figures were not cheap by any stretch of the imagination, and at the end of the day, I really think the con catalog should be focusing on pops, sodas, and biddies. I think those are the three things that people clearly buy and collect the most out of all the items that Funko has made. If they want to sprinkle in something else here and there, that's fine, but you really need to keep it focused on pops, sodas, and biddy pops. The last category that I have here to talk about is overall quality of the catalog, and last year was a little rough. I didn't really like how they did the multiple pops of the same exact character and mold, like the Thrawns, like the Zeros that we talked about, and I thought some of the limited pieces were just not very exciting. This year, I'm gonna give the leg up to the 2025 catalog. I think there is a lot to be excited for. We are getting a Stitch pop. People love Stitch. We had the new Lilo and Stitch movie this year, so I think that was a very good call. We're also getting a Herbie pop. He is the little robot from Fantastic Four. I think that was another huge good call right there. We're also getting a SpongeBob pop. People love SpongeBob. There is a brand new Fairly Odd Parents 2-pack with 2 characters that we've never gotten in Funko Pop form again, so once again, I think that is very good. A lot of people are very excited for the Bing Bong pop. We haven't seen many Inside Out pops since the release of the original set all those years back, and then we got a couple new ones for Inside Out too, but I'm not really a big fan of this pop because I don't like the thought bubble, but some people are really excited about it. And then with the limited pieces, once again, people are hyped for the clamshells, people are very hyped for the mystery Huckleberry Hound, so I think overall the quality of this year's catalog is no doubt better than last year's catalog. We're moving in the right direction. I still think, though, that we're missing just a little bit of a spark. I feel like we're missing maybe 1 or 2 items that are universally agreed upon by everybody in the community. Like, oh, that is awesome. I need to have that for my collection. I personally am bummed because there's no Star Wars exclusives, even though I'm torn if I would rather have last year's situation with 2 Thrawns or this year's situation with nothing. We also got that pretty cool Darth Vader last year. I didn't appreciate it as much as I appreciate it now because now we have nothing. There's also no sodas once again, which hurts me as a soda collector, so I'm disappointed there. And the last thing that I'm really disappointed on is a minor thing, but there's no t-shirts, which seems kind of weird because last year there was a t-shirt. So maybe there will be a t-shirt reveal happening maybe a day or 2 before the show. Maybe they're just lost in production. And then the last thing that I want to mention here, once again, this is just something that I'm personally disappointed by as a collector. With there being no Franny, Freddy, or Proto Pop, I really think that does hurt the overall catalog. I think there's a really good opportunity here every single year at San Diego Comic-Con, New York Comic-Con. You got to showcase your own company mascots. So last year's Roller Driving Franny, the Pizzeria Proto, and Mayor Freddy, I thought all were great. And maybe this year, for whatever reason, they're just taking a step back. We just had an awesome Fun Days and a great box of fun, but I still would have loved to see a standalone Freddy, Franny, and Proto Pop as a limited piece exclusive. But guys, let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. I am giving this year's San Diego Comic-Con catalog here in 2025 a score of 7 out of 10. I still think there's room for improvement. I still think we need a spark but we are clearly moving in the right direction. So overall, I applaud Funko, and I think they're doing a good job. I just want to see a couple tweaks, couple changes here and there, and then I think we have the potential to see a really, really strong catalog for hopefully New York Comic Con or next year's San Diego Comic Con in 2026. But that's our catalog comparison video. Be on the lookout for more San Diego Comic Con coverage, and we will be doing our San Diego Comic Con a shared retail drop for next week as well. So be on the lookout for that live stream. But with that being said, don't stop shooting until you score.